You want to go low? I'll go lower story. 1. Back when I was an intern at the company I still work at, I was told to shadow some directors and set up meetings to learn about their teams. I scheduled time with a woman in finance, and she flat out told me, "I don't have time for you, and you're not going to understand what we do anyway." It made me feel useless, and like I didn't belong. Now I'm a senior director at the same place, and I make sure to be a pain for her anytime I can. Our teams have to work together a lot, and I know she's always wondering why I'm such a pain to deal with. I turn even the smallest tasks into an absolute nightmare for her. She doesn't even remember me, but I'll never forget how she treated me back then. 2. A girl ripped me off on Facebook Marketplace. She couldn't have been older than 23. I did some digging, managed to find her dad's phone number, gave him a call, told him what happened, and I got my money back in minutes. 3. Someone kept using my email to sign up for online store alerts, and I was getting hit with like 50 messages a day. Then they started signing me up for all kinds of junk. But a couple of those signups had their real name and mailing address listed. So I returned the favor and signed them up to get about 100 different weird monthly catalogs. Hope they're into farm gear, dishwasher parts, and prosthetics. 4. I was a skinny kid and got bullied a lot in elementary school. One night I called my dad, my parents were divorced, and told him what was going on. He told me that next time I saw the kid, I should kick him in the nuts as hard as I could. My mom was furious and told me not to do it. I did it anyway. The kid never messed with me again. 5. At this retail job I had, there was a glitch with the debit machines. If you swiped a card instead of using the chip, it would crash both machines and force a reboot. The manager didn't care enough to fix it, so if a customer was a jerk, I'd say, "Oh, this machine's a little weird," swipe their card, and make them wait while it rebooted. I only did this when no other customers were around, and none of my coworkers could see. 6. My health insurance cut coverage for the antidepressant that was actually keeping me okay. I wrote them a letter basically saying if I couldn't take it, I might end up dead, and my family would sue. A week later, coverage was magically back. 7. I was on the bus, and this guy was blasting music on top of whatever was already playing on the bus speakers. So I pulled out my phone and started blasting Baby Shark at full volume. It was just the two of us riding. 8. My partner expects me to make him coffee every single morning. He almost never makes it for me, so now I make it with decaf. 9. My old boss treated me like trash for almost 10 years. Then I got a new job as an auditor in the same organization. I ran an audit on her department because I knew exactly where all the dirt was. My new boss loved it since they couldn't stand her either. It was a mess, and I enjoyed every second. 10. If someone stands way too close to me while talking, I'll just take a small step even closer. That way, we're both uncomfortable. 11. I had a coworker, not a director or someone from the main office, just another employee, who decided she wanted to help the daycare chain save money. Her idea was to cut my hours from 40 to 30 a week. Thing is, full-time at my job starts at 32 hours, so this would knock out all my benefits. When I told her that, she just said, "Not my problem, and not the company's either. We need to save money." So I got to work. That night, I made a full proposal about how the company could save money by cutting her job. I listed what she actually did all day, which wasn't much, and how getting rid of her role could save the company over $2,000 a month. I brought it to the director the next day and told her if this woman messed with my job, I'd take the plan to the main office. The coworker found out because she tried to mock me for saying I'd call the main office. So I handed her a copy of the proposal. She ripped it up and started yelling I had no right. I shrugged, pulled another copy out of my bag, and said I had more at home, and the director already had one too. She started crying, begging not to lose her job. I told her, "Not my problem, and not the company's either. We need to save money." She dropped it after that, but the director kept the proposal on file, just in case she tried something else down the road. 12. I was on a new team and helped out another lead/manager a ton so he could get up to speed and handle his own stuff. Turns out, he played a role in getting me demoted, so I stopped doing his job and focused on mine. He didn't like that and whined to our manager, saying I wasn't being a team player, and asked for a meeting. I spent a few hours putting together a 35-page report with screenshots and proof, showing all the times my team and I had to cover for him. I sent it to my manager right before the meeting. The guy canceled the meeting. He was fired the next week. 13. In college, I lived with 4 guys who didn't pay their share of the internet bill on time. So I turned on parental controls and blocked all their porn. Later on, when I was pregnant, anyone who patted my belly without asking got their belly patted right back. Reply: a friend had a roommate who never paid rent or utilities on time, so he throttled his internet down to basically dial-up speeds. It drove the guy nuts since he thought it was just his hardware dying. 14. If I'm driving 30 in a 25 zone and someone tailgates me, congratulations, we're going 20 now. 15. If I'm standing in a slow-moving line and someone keeps standing too close behind me, I'll start leaning or stretching backwards on purpose to bump into them. I'll keep doing it until they get the hint. Most people get it after 3 bumps. If you're still watching, it means you're enjoying the stories. Subscribe so you can look forward to more stories like these. Now on to 16. My neighbors had anti-abortion signs in their yard for the longest time. At the same time, they had this beat-up, unregistered car just sitting out in the street for over a year. The Monday after Roe v. Wade got overturned, I called code enforcement on them. They got ticketed and had to move the car. If they want the government involved in women's personal stuff, then they can have it involved in theirs too. 17. There was this girl in 9th grade science who used to cheat off me all year. She bullied me into letting her, and after a while, I just stopped fighting it. On the final day, I saw the teacher hand out 2 different test versions, A and B. I told her we both got the A version, even though I knew she had B. I let her copy everything, even encouraged it. She failed and had to repeat the class. Reply: I once made 4 versions of a test and told the whole class the person next to them had a different one. Someone still tried to cheat. They got the grade they deserved. 18. In high school, a girl kept bullying me and trying to get me in trouble. So I used to slightly unscrew the lid on her water bottle whenever she left it out, and it would leak in her bag. She switched bottles and still couldn't figure out why they kept leaking. She also hated pennies. She was a rich jerk. So I collected pennies and slipped them into her shoes, pockets, and books. It drove her crazy, and I loved it. 19. This happened just a few days ago. A new hire at the lab stopped me, no greeting or anything, and demanded to know where X's office was, in kind of a rude tone. I started to answer, saying something like, she works in the other building, and I think she's on either the 2nd or 4th floor, and she just cut me off and snapped. Can you just answer the question? So I said the same thing again, but left out the part that X was on vacation. Hope she enjoyed her little walk in the 3 p.m. Florida heat. 20. My roommates left the living room looking like a trash dump, and then left on vacation without telling me when they'd be back, even though they knew I had a baby shower planned at the house that weekend, and it had been on the calendar for months. I'm talking cans, bottles, dirty dishes, board games and cards everywhere, random clothes and shoes. I literally threw all their crap into their rooms, which were already disasters. When they came back, they lost it. Then one of them changed the Wi-Fi password, even though we all paid for it, just because it was in her name. So I started unplugging the router whenever I felt like it, since the power bill was in my name. Then another roommate yanked the thermostat off the wall because she had the gas account. So I started flipping the breakers for their rooms. Petty? Yeah, but it got real. Also, I started taking the shower head I bought off every time I used it, just because the heat was gone, thanks to the missing thermostat. 21. Decades ago, I had a job reading water meters. My boss always paid me late. Sometimes I'd drive out to his house in my crappy car and sit around for hours while he swam before he'd give me my paycheck. Then when I told him I was quitting, he acted surprised when I called asking for my last check, like I'd volunteered to work for free. He dragged it out for a month until he suddenly needed readings done again and paid me for the missed check and the next one up front. I went home, made up all the meter numbers, and when he started blowing up my phone, I blocked him. 22. I'm super tidy. My place is always spotless. But I had a roommate who wouldn't clean up anything. They'd finish a beer and leave the can behind while getting another. I got tired of arguing. I lived in a frat house once, so I just locked all my stuff, dishes, silverware, pots, everything, in my room. I let them live in their own mess. They didn't even make it a week before they were asking to help clean. Not to actually clean, just to help me do it. I told them straight up, my area's clean. All the mess is theirs. Last I heard, they've been homeless for nearly 10 years. 23. Back in middle school, this guy kept flicking pencils at me. I turned around and whipped a binder at him. Got a detention, but he never flicked another pencil my way. 24. I was joking around with my best friend about how we'll be old and wrinkly someday, and out of nowhere, my boyfriend at the time chimed in, "You're not that cute anyway." So I fired back, "I look way better than you, and at least I'm not fat." He got real upset. But seriously, why say that to your girlfriend? 25. I had this old coworker who was a total a-hole, misogynistic, arrogant, and treated me like I was clueless. One day I found a call recording where he was ranting about our boss. These calls were recorded, but rarely checked. On my last day, I sent it straight to the boss. He doesn't work there anymore. 26. I haven't done it yet, but our landlord has been trying to force us out by ignoring basic repairs, like a broken toilet, chipping paint, and a 24-year-old air conditioner. I've already called the county clerk on him twice. I'm putting together a long list of all the stuff we never even reported, because we've lived here 23 years. I'm going to hand him the list and say he's responsible for every item, and he's not getting a cent from our deposit. Then once we move out, I'm blasting him all over the internet. I've done SEO work. I know how to bury his reputation online. He's in an age group where he probably doesn't even understand how that works. I plan to make sure no one wants to rent from him again. 27. I used to be a server at a restaurant. When it was slammed and I was running around like crazy, some customers would try to flag me down in the rudest ways. So I just mirror them, snap at them if they snapped at me, whistle if they whistled. I'd walk up to the table with a big fake smile, like I was happy to help. 28. If I'm at a red light and someone honks at me to turn right, I won't. I'll wait for the light to turn green and for all the pedestrians to finish crossing before I go. 29. When I'm in line and someone's standing way too close behind me, I'll just stop moving and leave a big gap in front of me on purpose. Drives them nuts. 30. My boyfriend of 16 months took another girl on a date and then dumped me that night. Within a week, he told her he loved her and wanted to be official. He was still logged into Spotify on my phone. I deleted every liked song, every playlist, every podcast. I added a ton of breakup songs and songs that straight up call people garbage. Sometimes I sneak into his queue while he's listening and throw in random K-pop or Polish hits. I also signed him up for stuff. Online colleges, military info, insurance quotes, loan applications. There's even this website that lets you send wake-up calls at any time. Like, say, 3 in the morning. If you've made it this far, comment at what time you're watching this video, so I know you're still watching. Now on to 31. There was this scummy guy at work who handled HVAC and maintenance. Everyone knew he was a jerk. One day, a coworker of mine found out his mom had passed away and broke down crying. That guy walked in, saw him crying, and started yelling at him for it, not even knowing why. HR never managed to get rid of him. He also once shouted racial slurs at a TV in a packed break room. Still, they kept him around. Some folks who had worked with him mentioned he had a weird hatred for pennies. Just totally hated them. So I started collecting them. I saved up for a few weeks, even got some from coworkers. On my last day there, I found his maintenance cart while he was on break and crammed pennies into every spot I could find. According to friends who still worked there, anytime he grabbed a tool afterward, a few pennies would fall out. He never figured out who did it. He did end up getting fired later. Turns out he was drinking on the job. Same reason he got kicked out of a previous job on a military base. Trash took itself out. 32. If someone's talking loudly on their phone somewhere they shouldn't be, I'll just start doing the same thing. Makes it impossible for them to hear their own conversation. 33. When I'm using my wheelchair and people walk right in front of me, I sometimes run into them. I can't just stop on a dime, and I'm not going to hurt my hands slamming the brakes just because you think I don't deserve basic respect like a normal person. I'm not a piece of furniture. 34. This was something my mom did, but it stuck with me and showed me how much she had my back even when I was a little kid. I transferred to a new school in 2nd grade, and 2 popular girls were mean to me. That year, my mom planned my birthday party at the coolest place in town. Laser tag, mini golf, batting cages, the works. She had me hand out invites to every kid in class, except those 2. She told me, if they asked, just say, "Why would I invite someone who doesn't like me?" You wouldn't believe how fast they started being nice. I know we couldn't really afford that party, but my mom wanted to do whatever she could to help me adjust. I'll always be thankful for that. 35. I just got fired on Monday. My boss, who's a real piece of work, did it while she was on vacation in Mexico. And this is a super heavily regulated company in the US too. Edit. She didn't have a work visa for Mexico and never told the company she'd be working from there. I can't wait to see what the ethics and compliance team says about that. 36. My narcissistic ex, who also cheated on me, decided to message my mom on LinkedIn after our breakup. He told her private stuff about our relationship to try to control how the story got told. It was creepy, humiliating, and just plain messed up. A few months later, his new girlfriend reached out, and I happily spent 2 hours on the phone with her, going over everything horrible he'd done to me and other women he'd dated. 37. He cheated on me with one of his employees. He was their manager. So I slept with his boss. I've never seen a man spiral that fast. 38. A girl from school spread all kinds of rumors about me. It got so bad, I started skipping school to avoid her and the parents who heard the rumors. But I remembered she had cheated on the National Latin exam for years. I always knew, but I stayed quiet. Once she turned on me, I went to the principal and told them she used to memorize the answers. The test people were contacted, and they sent her a version meant for students with learning disabilities, totally different questions and answers. That year, I got a gold medal. She didn't even place. It might have been a little much, but she already had plenty of medals from cheating. Missing out on one won't ruin her. 39. My current boss makes 6 figures, constantly brags about being here for 8 years, and delegates everything. I mean everything. He knows literally nothing, because he always dumps the work on someone else. We even pay someone outside the company to handle big chunks of his job, so basically we're paying double. Now someone on the team quit, and suddenly he has to step in. But get this, he's still paying the person who left to train the new hire and do the work in the meantime. He doesn't even tell new employees to answer the phone. So when someone calls for him, straight to voicemail. I don't take messages. If someone shows up asking for him, I send them right to his face. I go out of my way not to help him. We're in a union too, and he hasn't supported us one bit. 5 months of contract talks have been hell, and he's made it worse. There's only 2 of us, and they still can't offer even a small raise. If we left tomorrow, everything would fall apart, and he knows it. 40. Not me, but my husband. He was in HR at a major grocery store chain. His manager hated him once he found out how much money my husband made. My husband's one of those people everyone loves, especially old ladies. It's kind of funny. Anyway, this boss made life hell for him. It got so bad that my husband ended up in the ER at just 26, thinking he was having a heart attack. Turned out to be an anxiety attack from all the stress. The boss tried again and again to get him fired, but then he messed up. He didn't pay an employee and committed fraud. My husband reported it, and the boss got fired. My husband moved to a different store, loved his new boss, and even though he switched career paths later, they're still close friends. The old boss retired, but somehow got back in with the company later. Only now he's in a lower level position. 41. My ex cheated on me after 5 years together. I found out in less than a day. I took back the car since it was still in my name, kept the cats, and told all our mutual friends what she did. Those friends were mostly hers, just because of who she dated, but they stuck with me. She ended up with nothing but her new jerk boyfriend. No car, no place of her own, just living at her sister's house. Now she has a kid with him, and they eventually broke up. Side note, she broke into my house once, just to sleep in my bed. I let her, even though I didn't want to, then locked all the windows. I know I'm too kind to people who mess me up, but my way of loving people is doing what makes them happy. I was just in a weak spot. 42. There's a bar next to my place that shut down during the pandemic. Since then, it gets rented out for private parties every weekend, and they're always super loud. One night, I managed to connect to their speaker system using Bluetooth and played my own music. I'm pretty sure no one there had fun. I only pulled it off once, but it was totally worth it. 43. We hired a new girl at work who was just a total jerk to me for no reason. Honestly, I don't think anyone liked her. Anyway, I got her fired. 44. I can't think of any huge stories, but this is just how I am. If someone doesn't like me, I figure I may as well give them an actual reason. One time, a coworker started giving me the silent treatment. I was sick of her drama and attention seeking, so I thought, you know what? Fine by me. We haven't said a single word to each other in 5 months. 45. In my 20s, I was at this church summer camp where they had rules about what girls could wear at the pool. Even on pool days, swimsuits had to be covered with a shirt. But not a white shirt. These weren't venue rules, and they were stricter than the usual church modesty rules. I always liked calling out how the church tried to control what women wore. Since they specifically said not to wear a white shirt, I found a loophole and wore a black lace or mesh shirt over my swimsuit the whole day. That was probably my first time doing full-blown malicious compliance. I left the church not long after. 46. I live somewhere with a shared kitchen and a shared freezer, but I also have my own smaller freezer with my name on it. A few months ago, people started putting their stuff in mine, saying theirs was full and it would only be for a few days. They never asked first. The first time, they at least told me the same day, and it still annoyed me, but I let it slide. Next time, they didn't say anything at all. I checked their freezer, saw plenty of space, and dumped all their stuff back in. It barely fit. The next day, someone said it was hard to open the freezer. I said, yeah, that was me, and explained that if they want to play it this way, I can do that too. About a week later, they bought a whole new freezer. Apparently asking first was just too hard. 47. Back in high school, a few girls were laughing at how I was sitting. No idea why. I slowly turned around with the creepiest grin I could make and said, "Want to take a picture?" I'm pretty sure they still remember it. 48. My husband knows that if he starts something, I'll be the one to finish it. If he says something gross to mess with me, by the end of it he's the one feeling weird and I'm laughing. I grew up with 3 brothers. I know how to play that game. 49. If someone spells my name wrong in an email, I make sure to spell theirs wrong too. Reply, I do this in person. My name only has 4 letters. It's not hard. The worst one was a past boss. I started calling him Mork or Merk or anything except Mark. 50. My dad kicked me out of our house so his crackhead girlfriend could move in. So I took all the furniture with me. They came home to an empty house. That's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe so I can keep bringing you more of these stories. Thanks for sticking around till the end. See you next time, and take care.